Windsor was a good place to grow up, even if you weren't royalty. Throughout my childhood, hundreds of thousands of tourists came to the town every year, thanks to our famous local resident, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. At 11 a.m. each day, the soldiers of the Household Division, dressed in their scarlet tunics and bearskin hats, would march behind a band from their barracks to Windsor Castle for the changing of the guard ceremony. After drinking in this display of military pomp, the tourists would file into the castle and enjoy the Queen's interior design. Familiarity may not breed contempt, but it tends to breed disinterest, as I didn't even visit the castle until my early 20s. But our famous neighbour had her positives. The castle's Crown Estate provided easy access to nature, the tourist industry meant lots of jobs in hospitality, and teenage delinquency was limited to eating Woolworth's pick and mix without paying. I had gone to the local junior and middle schools, then won a scholarship to do my GCSEs at a Quaker boarding school in Reading. I did well academically, but I only had a few friends, and I always felt dislocated. So I chose to return to the local state system for my A-levels, and I joined the Windsor Boys' School in 1999. Not long after I started at Windsor Boys, my mum discovered that the school was planning a rugby tour to Australia, New Zealand and the Cook Islands. She told me that if I got a place on the team, she would pay for my place on the tour. Mum had travelled to New Zealand in the 1970s, and she loved it. She inspired me with stories of smoking volcanoes, empty beaches, trees unchanged since the time of the dinosaurs, and wildlife that had evolved in isolation from the rest of the world. It sounded magical, and my excitement was matched by my teenage desire for independence. I would be travelling with my peers and without my family, but within the safety net of an organised tour. Mum had raised my sister Barty and me by herself. We lived on income support in social housing, and while we never struggled for food or clothing, we didn't go on fancy holidays or buy expensive junk for the house. But Mum felt that it was important for me to have experiences that broadened my horizons. So she took on a second job as a cleaner just to cover the costs of my ticket. All I had to do was learn how to play rugby. In my late teenage years, I was a slightly overweight geek, more focused on hip-hop and science fiction than on drop goals and scrums. Most of my friends were metalheads and skaters who sat around in parks getting stoned and drinking cider. With a goal to achieve, things began to change. I spent evenings at rugby training instead of the local park, and watched rugby games on the telly rather than Star Trek. I also had to get fit for the first time in my life, so I trained at the school gym every morning. I could barely catch a ball at my first rugby session, but I kept turning up and doing what the coaches told me to. I played as a prop because it mostly involved just leaning on other people, and because no one else wanted to do it. I was given a place as a substitute and slowly got better and fitter, until I eventually made it into the starting lineup for the second team. I would be going on tour,